but this is a podcast.
Yeah.
Between two siblings.
In Zion.
I'm Lisa.
I'm Dan.
Oh,
We're
and
back.
We're those siblings.
And we're
on
drugs.
on drugs.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Don't freak out, guys.
So Lisa hasn't partaken of the grass since the first time, which is when we did it on this show.
My throat.
Some 6 months ago.
Yeah, at least.
When we recorded that. And I haven't done it since around that time either.
Oh, more whiskey. Oh, I gotta wash that down with some whiskey.
Yeah, Lisa was saying she probably didn't inhale enough last time, so we'll see how it goes.
Not really sure how that worked. So this is going to be a very different experience, I think.
Yeah, well, I'm already feeling it a bit, so...
Well, then what's wrong with me?
You don't feel it at all?
Maybe I'm like a guru, and like
shit.
I'm already on the plane that weed gets you to, so it's nothing different for me. It's just like, it's
more of the same, baby.
It's more of the same stuff.
All right, we'll see how that goes.
Okay,
so now let's talk about the biggest party of all time. The resurrection.
Party up in here.
Where everyone comes back to life. And we get to see all our loved ones that we knew, and we're so excited.
Glory, 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 hallelujah.
Finally.
I can't wait. Except I can.
That's the whole point. Like, people are so excited to be dead. Because that's when life really begins.
Exactly.
Saw this meme. It was one of those standard, I think probably Jehovah's Witness artist renderings of the resurrection and people reuniting with their families written over it. It's like, we're all fucking dead. Rejoice.
We're all fucking dead.
Hooray. That's really that's really the idea that people are looking forward to. Like,
yeah.
Okay, so we talked about how we die and then we're hanging out either in a good place or a bad place. Depends on how you did.
Well, actually, we started pre-mortal.
No, I said we left off.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, don't get it twisted.
Excuse me. Sorry.
Okay.
I take it back. I stand corrected.
So either we're living on earth or we're in spirit prison or spirit paradise until Jesus, the Savior, Christ, finally decides, hey, time to go back and take my bride. Isn't that the biblical term?
What are you talking about?
Christ's bride.
Oh, you're talking about the second coming.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Analogy, yeah.
Yeah.
The Christ is the groomsman.
Yeah. Sweet, beautiful bride.
The parable of the 12 virgins.
Sure.
You've heard that, right?
At some point.
Okay. Because that's exactly what its analogy is.
Okay.
There's a wedding.
Yeah.
The groom is coming. You just don't know when. And you have to have enough oil in your lamp to last you through the night.
Oh, wow.
So those who don't have enough drops of oil or testimony don't last until the second coming. AKA, you and I don't have enough oil. We burned it all up.
Yep.
We lit that fire, smoked it, and then we didn't have any light.
Oh,
and
man.
You can't share, obviously.
No, that's not how it works.
No. So the virgins that still had enough oil because they saved it and held on to it and kept it precious, they had enough oil to last them through the night, and they could be at the wedding feast with the groomsmen, aka the church is the wife of Christ, just like you said.
Cool.
Just a scriptural little anecdote for you.
That's something that I knew too. So
thanks for telling me what I already knew.
Yeah. So he comes back and then starts the millennium.
Right.
1,000 years.
A lot of people die. And then...
Okay, so depending on what kind of religious tradition you grew up in, there's some sort of Armageddon.
And war with Satan.
Oh, of course. Big time.
Yeah. Well, the millennium precedes the Great War.
Wait.
The final battle.
So you have to hang out for 1,000 years doing all this temple work and stuff like that, and then...
Yeah. For the millennium, Satan will be bound by the righteousness of people's hearts. He won't literally be tied up to a chair. The people will be so righteous that no one will choose evil. And then that period will be over, the millennium. And then we'll start the final battle where people will have the ultimate decision whether to accept or reject Satan. Because evil will be reintroduced, essentially.
Who has been hanging out for 1,000 years doing temple work and stuff?
All of us, all of the Mormons that were righteous and kept their covenants and wear garments, they're having babies.
Oh my gosh.
You're having children and raising children.
No, you're not.
during the millennium.
No, you're not.
And doing temple work for all the souls that are in spirit prison. Because we all need to be ready. Oh, shit. What happens first? They try to say that the gospel is so simple that a child can understand.
Oh,
and yet, in seminary, they have to pass out flowcharts of the time frame of the resurrection. Because it's the millennium and Satan will be bound by the righteousness of their hearts. And then Satan is released. There's the final battle. But I can't remember if resurrection is after the millennium, before, or after the final battle. Oh my God.
I think it's after.
After the final battle?
No. Resurrection is first.
We got to
Right?
open and preach my gospel.
Okay.
We got to go back to the source. Oh my God. I need truth right now because
Here we go.
we're here. I've arrived. I caught up to the train that you took earlier.
Choo choo.
Oh God. Our life on earth, the atonement of Jesus Christ. I'm looking at Preach My Gospel.
Okay.
For those who don't know, the missionary handbook on how to teach. The spirit world, the resurrection, salvation, and exaltation. So salvation, the resurrection. Wait. I'm gonna answer this. Okay. So you get resurrected. We talked about body and spirit getting back together.
Yeah. Finally.
Okay.
Give me my body back.
Then
Give
you
me
go
my
to the
glove.
spirit world. Death does not change our personality or our desires for good and evil. Okay?
Doesn't change.
You chose what you
anything about
chose. And that determines your state of happiness, your peace and rest. It's like how content you are in the afterlife. Depends on how righteous you are here.
Okay. It's a sliding scale.
Yes, it's a spectrum. If you didn't choose to obey and repent, you live in unhappiness. Spirit prison.
It's not cool.
If you did not obey the
Then you
gospel.
just have another 1,000 years of people just preaching at you.
And even if you weren't a bad person,
Yeah.
even if you were just Mother Teresa and you didn't have the ordinances, in the spirit world, the gospel is preached to those who did not obey the gospel or have the opportunity to hear it while on earth. So whether you were a terrible person or if you just didn't hear the gospel and didn't have a choice, you're in spirit prison.
Most people who exist,
Yes, correct.
most people who have existed are dead.
Yeah.
And were dead before Christ.
Yeah.
A lot of them.
Yep. And we remain in the spirit world until we are resurrected. So resurrection happens immediately before the millennium.
Well, yeah, when Christ comes back, that's the morning of the first resurrection, right?
Basically, yeah. Even though there's already been one, there's the morning of the first resurrection, which is those who are the most valiant coming forth. 1,000 years of peace. Satan is bound by the righteousness of our hearts. Then
Cool.
Satan is released, final battle, and then exaltation.
What is this
judgment.
battle?
Then judgment and potential exaltation. Okay? Is that okay?
Okay.
Are we good?
Right.
All right. Resurrection itself. Doctrine and Covenants, chapter 88, verses 27 through 32.
Do you want me to read it?
You might need to. Maybe you should read it. I've been reading all the scriptures.
27. And it reads,
And it reads.
For
And it
notwithstanding,
came to pass.
for notwithstanding they die, they also shall rise again, a spiritual body. They who are of a celestial spirit shall receive the same body which was a natural body. Even ye shall receive your bodies, and your glory shall be that glory by which your bodies are quickened. Ye who are quickened by a portion of the celestial glory shall then receive of the same even a fullness. And they who are quickened by a portion of the terrestrial glory shall then receive of the same, even a fullness. And also they who are quickened by a portion of the telestial glory, then they shall receive of the same, even a fullness. And they who remain shall be quickened. Nevertheless, they shall return again to their own place, to enjoy that which they are willing to receive, because they were not willing to enjoy that which they might have received.
Can we just appreciate the variety in Joseph Smith's writing? And bodies, and your bodies,
And also
bodies.
these bodies,
and bodies.
and also the same thing I just said, mostly except for one word. Again.
really
This last
skilled.
one, though.
Yeah. What hangs you up there?
They shall return again to their own place. What does that mean?
What this scripture is trying to teach us.
Yeah.
It's connected to 1 Corinthians chapter 15.
Right. I think I have this in my notes.
Mormons really like to find ways to connect to the Bible because
Yeah,
apparently it's
it
a
makes
little
it
bit of a
legitimate.
stretch. Yeah. Because in that verse, it also talks about how There's the degree of the sun, the degree of the moon, and the
Yeah, yeah.
degree of the stars. That is representative, according to Joseph Smith, of the 3 degrees of glory.
Mm-hmm.
The celestial, terrestrial, and telestial kingdoms.
Yes.
So,
So.
when you're resurrected, you are exalted to the degree that you were righteous.
Right.
So you have
That's literally
not
what that's
only tears of heaven.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Someone has had to have made that connection, right?
Sure. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Do you just think you're a genius when you're high? Oh.
These thoughts have never been the thoughts of any other person, thinker of thoughts.
Oh my God.
It's great. Yeah. Okay. Let me take over for a second.
Okay. Wait, no. There's tears in heaven.
Yeah, there
Of
are
heaven.
tears of
There's
heaven.
tears of heaven. Okay. Your body, the matter of your spiritual body at that point is
right
parallel to the degree of glory that you're receiving.
Yeah.
Your
How good is your body?
matter of the actual components of your body are different. Like it's gold, silver, and bronze here.
Yeah, but there's no description.
Basically,
what that
the guys
means.
on the top can go to any level,
Uh-huh.
but the people below them can only go to the one below them.
Sounds like a video game to me.
So, like, exactly. If you were in the celestial kingdom, you couldn't come visit me in the celestial kingdom. Only I could visit you in the terrestrial kingdom.
Sure.
Wherever you are.
You can't go up. You can only go down.
I couldn't stay there because it's too dark. But you couldn't come up because it's too bright.
Ugh, fuck off.
Because literally the power of God's body would overwhelm you to the point that you would disintegrate.
Unless you had
the same
properties
degree
of celestial body.
of exaltation.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
So, oh my God, the better you are, the more righteous you are, the whiter you are,
The more tithing you
the
pay.
higher you are, the
Yep.
brighter you are.
The more hours you spend in the temple. The more
The more
fast
wives you
offerings
have.
give. Oh, yeah. More wives is always good.
Always better.
It's ideal.
And that kind of blew my mind when I learned that.
Mm-hmm.
Like your body is different. It's
Yeah.
not just this. It's not just the level of heaven.
Not just a lame old
And
regular
then there's
body.
3
Okay.
levels within the top level. That I don't understand as
Wait.
much.
What?
You had to know this. I swear to God, we've talked about this before.
There's 3 levels.
In
in
the
the-
celestial kingdom. There's 3 levels. And then in the highest level, there's 3 more levels. And you know what gets you to the very highest level of the highest degree of heaven?
Polygamy.
The new and everlasting covenant of
Yeah.
marriage. Yes. You cannot reach the highest level, highest degree of glory unless you are sealed in the temple for time and all eternity
Uh-huh.
by someone holding the priesthood of God.
Okay. And you can't get to the temple to get married unless you pay 10%
Of all your goddamn
of
money.
all your goddamn money.
You know what's weird? There is no category, beknownst to me, of what the first and second level of the celestial kingdom are. The only thing that matters is you can't get to the top unless you're married and in a heterosexual
Yeah.
relationship.
Look, the pieces of your body go together. Okay. That's
it only
how it
makes
goes.
sense.
So if you're doing anything other than that, guess what?
Guess what? Invalid.
Can't go to heaven. Sorry.
Wrong.
Wrong.
Resurrection has nothing to do with the 3 degrees of glory. Well, it does, but
Oh,
I already jumped. You see that? I went
Yeah.
from, they're so close. Okay? These doctrines are so
Okay.
close. The plan of salvation, when you teach it, it's just like resurrection, judgment,
Yeah.
exaltation.
Yeah.
You don't spend a lot of time talking about resurrection, only that it happens.
and it's going to be great.
That'd be awesome.
So what I found here on LDS Living, one of the
What did
first
you
things I came across.
Of resurrection?
Yeah. What does it mean to come forth in the morning of the first resurrection?
You're the whitest of the white, the purest of the pure, the most brave of the brave, the most valiant of the valiant.
Of course, they're talking about being bright white. Elder Bruce R. McConkie,
Of course.
of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles, obviously, I feel like there was so much of what Bruce R. McConkie said that he kind of made up and that made its way into the Mormon doctrine lexicon. Nothing is more absolutely universal than the resurrection. Though all people will be resurrected.
You're quoting.
I am. From Bruce R. McConkie. Not all will be resurrected at the same time. Technically speaking, there are 4 resurrections. The morning of the first resurrection. This resurrection began with Christ's resurrection and will continue in and through the millennium. This resurrection is reserved for those who have lived righteously. It is reserved for those who are destined to be heirs of the celestial kingdom. So already I say, what? Destiny? How does destiny play into this? I thought there was a choice. I thought there was agency.
All that means is foreordination, and God knows what you're going to choose before you choose it. He still lets you decide. It's what would happen if you did everything God wanted you to do.
The afternoon of the first resurrection. Even though it's not literally an afternoon, because this would be many thousands of years after Christ. This resurrection starts once the millennium has begun and will carry on throughout the 1,000 years of the millennium. Okay. It is reserved for those who have lived good lives but were not necessarily valiant. This resurrection is reserved for those who are destined to inherit the terrestrial kingdom. The morning of the second resurrection. This resurrection begins at the end of the millennium. It is reserved for those who have lived sinful lives, for those who have lived contrary to the dictates of their conscience and the promptings of the Holy Spirit. Capitalized. Those who come forth in this resurrection will inherit the telestial kingdom, the lowest of the 3 degrees of glory. Those who inherit this glory will not spend eternity in the presence of Satan and his minions. However, they will be eternally shut out of the presence of God and Christ. The afternoon of the second resurrection. This resurrection will take place after all others have been resurrected. It is reserved for the sons and daughters of perdition, for those who will spend eternity with the devil and his angels, because in mortality they did the work of the devil and his angels. It is the only of the 4 resurrections that provides recipients with no glory whatsoever. Hence, the eternal abode for those who come forth in this resurrection is known as outer darkness, where God's light never shines. So you're existing, but the light does not hit you. You are in the dark. Can't see shit, and you don't know what to do.
Heart is stone.
Emptiness. Thus, what does it mean if your patriarchal blessing promises you that you will come forth in the morning of the first resurrection? Both of ours said that, right? Mine did.
Yours did, but mine doesn't.
Somebody.
It doesn't.
You're not guaranteed.
Shit. I am not guaranteed the morning. It just says,
but
to come forth.
Wouldn't you be if you were
in the
most righteous?
Clothed with glory, immortality.
So what does it mean? One stake patriarch I am acquainted with, somebody who wrote this article, suggested that it means you will be resurrected at the first opportunity that you are able to be.
Oh, right. Yeah.
When we get around to it.
Yeah. No, because in the Paradise Spirit Prison, there will be like multiple resurrections happening all the time.
Mm-hmm.
When your time comes, when you're ready, blah, blah, blah. When they call you forth.
We're doing a single file system here.
Because there's a lot of Tabithas, okay?
Yeah.
You gotta wait your turn.
And if we did it all at once, there would be so much confusion. There'd be pandemonium.
Exactly.
Come forth, Tabitha. Okay. No, not you. Tabitha.
I'm speaking in a British accent. That means all the British people. So I used to imagine that God descended out of the clouds, because we had that picture in our room growing up of the second coming. Mm-hmm. And he's coming down, and the angels have the
red
trump.
Robe, right?
Okay, so he used to be wearing a red robe in that picture, and then it looked too menacing. But that's literally what is prophesied in the Bible.
Yeah.
So the first presidency had the guy who painted it change what Jesus is wearing from the red robe to just a red sash as symbolism. But it didn't look like doomsday anymore. But the guy who painted this painting used his daughter as the model for the angel. Every angel in that painting is his daughter.
Wow.
They're all that blonde girl. This Planet of Salvation painting gave me the idea, because obviously we assumed so much from those pictures as kids.
Yeah.
that when Christ came, everybody would just be one fell swoop resurrected.
Mm.
You know? But
Everybody,
actually,
come on.
it's happening in stages and waves.
Waves, dude.
Yeah.
Let me finish this, though.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
It certainly means that if you are true to your covenants, you will be exalted. It is the promise that through your faithfulness and through Christ's atonement, you are going to make it to the celestial kingdom, where you will preside over your posterity for eternity, doing what God does, because you will have become what He is. Could there be any greater promise that God could make to any of His children?
Nope.
Could there be any greater promise? You're going to do what God does, because you're going to become what He is.
There's this book that they sell at Deseret book that's like, odds are you'll be resurrected, or odds are you'll be exalted. That's the title. To like give people comfort. Odds are you'll be exalted.
I think not. It's not in your favor.
The book is written to give people confidence.
Yeah. It's going to be you, though.
That you're going to be resurrected because it's so hard to get into hell. Odds are you'll be exalted because each degree of glory is better than what we currently experience. So odds are you are going to be exalted. How much is up to you.
Oh, boy.
And somehow that's supposed to be comforting for a religion full of perfectionists. 2 Nephi chapter 9, verses 14 through 15.
Okay.
And it's so funny. And this is what I was laughing about. And I was like, I can't wait to read this to you.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Wherefore, we shall have a perfect knowledge of all our guilt.
Oh, yay.
And our uncleanness and our nakedness. And the righteous shall have a perfect knowledge of their enjoyment and their righteousness and being clothed, yea, even with the robe of righteousness. So righteous people
so
get
illiterate.
robes. And then in verse 15, and it shall come to pass that when all men shall have passed from this first death unto life, because, real life is eternal life, being like God, insomuch as they have become immortal, they must appear before the judgment seat of the Holy One of Israel, and then cometh the judgment, and then must they be judged according to the holy judgment of God.
Okay.
So you get resurrected.
Yeah.
And then you get judged. And you already know what degree of glory you're going to based on your body.
Mm.
You already know because you've already chosen
It's like a name tag.
It was up to you.
Yeah.
So you're not getting some kind of like report on your test. You're not like, okay, what's my grade? You already know. You're showing him.
Yeah. You have the right ID.
Exactly. It's a testimony to yourself. He already knows.
Well, I have more quotes.
Oh, do you? Okay, go ahead.
Joseph Smith taught,
please.
We came into this earth that we might have a body.
This is how we get started on this topic.
Yes. We came into this earth that we might have a body and present it pure before God in the celestial kingdom. Pure.
Clothed with purity.
I think that this is from the prophet Joseph Smith, that book.
Oh.
On the other hand, if defiled, distorted, and abused, the body may be an instrument of degradation, an enemy of genuine spirituality. If it be defiled, distorted, and abused.
Because we originally wanted to talk about this because you sent me a text just talking about what it would look like to be resurrected from all the elements and how that doesn't make any sense because you're not just you anymore. You're so many things. But then you said you found a quote that Joseph Smith said, like, we're not anything else. We don't become anything else. We just stay ourselves. So you said it was like a direct contradiction.
It is. So I have some more here. This is from Joseph F. Smith. The body will come forth as it is laid to rest, for there is no growth nor development in the grave. As it is laid down, so it will arise. It sounds so creepy.
Gross.
And changes to perfection will come by the law of restitution. But the spirit will continue to expand and develop, and the body, after the resurrection, will develop to the full stature of man. And that was from June 1904. It sounds like zombies. The body will come forth as it is laid to rest.
As it is, that's really...
And as it is laid down, so it will arise. Ooh.
I think that probably means spiritually.
He's talking about the body.
As you died. That's gross.
Let's see. This is from an article on resurrection on BYU's website.
Okay.
The first resurrection commenced with the resurrection of Christ and with those who immediately thereafter came forth from their graves, kind of like in the music video for Thriller from Michael Jackson. In much larger numbers, it will precede the 1,000-year millennial reign inaugurated by the second coming, in quotes, of the Savior. At that time, some will be brought forth to meet him as he descends in glory. So some people will be resurrected immediately to see him coming down.
Okay, so when Christ comes, those who are righteous and prepared will be caught up with him.
Wow.
Basically, like they'll go up to be with him and meet him first, and then come down to the rest.
Like
the
the living
people.
prophet and the quorum of the 12.
And those, like the members, like stake presidents and
Nice.
stuff like that, like the most pure.
Cool.
Those who are left on the ground, kind of like Christ is this magnet and he attracts all the righteous people. Those are the people, those people left on the ground. This is where the wheat and the tares come in. And there's literal fire to cleanse the earth from sin.
Oh, yeah.
Because the earth is baptized by fire to receive the Holy Ghost.
This is what Mormons and Jehovah's Witnesses have in common. About
Apocalyptic fire.
Yeah.
The wicked are literally burned to stubble because they're not keeping their covenants, aka they're not wearing their tidy white garments.
Mm-hmm. That you can only buy at the temple.
For money.
And in the bookstore. They cost money.
And you have to have a lot of them.
Yeah.
You can't just have one.
Nope.
Wheat and tares. The wheat are righteous. We save those. The tares, we incinerate them. Get rid of them.
Goodbye.
Bye, wicked. Spirit prison.
The first resurrection will continue in proper order through the millennium. The righteous who live on earth and die during the millennium will experience immediate resurrection. Their transformation will take place in the twinkling of an eye. We talked about that previously. The first resurrection includes the celestial and terrestrial glories. Why would anyone die during the millennium? The ones that are living when Jesus comes back?
No, they get twinkled.
Why would they die?
They get twinkled. Wait, read it again?
The righteous who live on earth and die during the millennium will experience immediate resurrection. Their transformation will take place in the twinkling of an eye.
Oh, I thought the twinkling of the eye thing came during the resurrection. Sorry, during the second coming.
That's what it says here. And it references D&C 6351.
So you get twinkled when you die during the millennium.
You're doing temple work as an old person, and then you die of natural causes, and then you're immediately resurrected. Why wouldn't you just be transformed?
Yeah, you don't feel the pain of death. You're twinkled. You're resurrected.
He must not have worded
body spirit separate.
If that's
come back together.
Yeah, if that's what is, if you're correct in your assumption, then he just kind of didn't make that clear. The righteous who live on earth and die during the millennium, he should have said at the beginning of the second coming.
Yeah, it's really hard to insert the exact chronological order of these things because they like overlap and some last longer than others. So it's like, clearly this doesn't make sense, but
they overlap on not being real for sure.
They all have that in common.
So I do want to point out that I tried on 2 different browsers many different times while I was on LDS.org. I figured I'd go to the source, for the accurate information that the church provides themselves.
Yeah.
So I would select a chunk of text to copy into my notes. But when I selected that, everything disappeared.
Xi Jinping?
Hello, censorship much? So I tried again. I reloaded it. Reloaded the text, found it again, selected it, page is gone. So I practiced my trigger finger. I selected, and then immediately copied, and it worked, but the page still went blank. So it's not nothing. Okay, something's going on here.
There's something happening.
There's something going on here. All right?
There's something brewing.
So one thing that I came across was in the Bible Dictionary, which is published by the church.
Yeah.
It says the entry for the fall of Adam. Before the fall, Adam and Eve had physical bodies, but no blood. There was no sin, no death, no children among any of the earthly creations. They were created without blood. And they
Adam
only
and
got...
Eve?
Yeah.
Yeah. The blood was only introduced with the fall. Blood is associated with sin. Just like God, he's got flesh and bone.
Yeah.
Adam and Eve, flesh and bone, until they fell. Then they were flesh and blood.
So blood is bad.
Blood is
what
mortal.
I'm gathering.
Blood is mortal.
Wow. So this is from that article on resurrection on byu.edu. In contrast to the view that the body, when buried or cremated, has no identifiable residue, Joseph Smith...
What?
Yeah. Joseph Smith taught, quote, there is no fundamental principle belonging to a human system that ever goes into another in this world or the world to come. And it says HC, which stands for History of the Church. Okay.
Oh.
Chemical disintegration is not final destruction. The resurrected body is tangible, but when the flesh is quickened by the Spirit, there will be, quote, spirit in their veins and not blood.
So instead of flesh and blood, we go back to flesh and bone because we're quickened by the Spirit of Christ.
Quickened. So as we talked about previously, about how it seems clear, the understanding of our physiology is that what we are, what makes us up, becomes something else. It doesn't die completely. What makes us up somehow, some way, endures.
All matter cannot be
and changes
created
into other.
or destroyed.
You can say that. But what Joseph Smith is saying here is that those fundamental elements of us, atoms, molecules, whatnot, don't become anything else.
Wow, scientist Smith
That's
didn't
right.
know that was part of his career repertoire.
He wrote about that in his
alongside
doctorate.
running for the presidential position of this country.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's such
Politics
a genius.
and science. How did he have the time?
What a brilliant person.
Too bad he fell out of a window after getting shot. Oh my God, that was horrible.
That's too bad, huh?
Don't you hate it when you get
Too
shot?
bad that brilliant brain just got shot right up.
Oh God. Oh, that's really horrible. Like he watched his own brother get shot in the face.
That sucks.
And then he got shot and fell out of a window. And he didn't even die on impact, to add insult to injury.
And just a brief comparison, I re-looked into Jehovah's Witness
In science.
lore.
Right.
Yeah, I looked into the science books. And, they stick to all the biblical principles of the resurrection, but they say that when you die, there is no experience until you're resurrected. You're not in...
crazy to me. That's crazy.
Now that is crazy.
You looked into the science books and it said,
Just
see
nothing?
the watchtower.
Yep.
What doesn't make sense to me is that there would be nothing and then there would be something. Like
Again,
who was turning on and off those
they're just
lights?
sleepy times. Both them and Seventh-day Adventists both teach that after death, there's no consciousness, there's no experience.
You can't have both.
Well,
You can't be like, oh, atheists think there's nothing, and then religious people think there is something, and like.
but actually, there's something now, and then there's nothing, and then guess what? There's the
How
best.
do you stop?
I don't think so.
Actually, you know what? That kind of does make more sense than an interim period of a
if we really...
prison system.
What makes more sense? That's what we should be asking here.
What makes more? I can't decide which one makes more sense.
Oh, gosh. Listen, let's just get... The whole reason I wanted to talk about this and ponder this and go through the quote-unquote doctrine that this is supposed to be. I mean, if you want to talk about fundamentals...
No, this is not where you want to be. You're in the wrong place.
Like I said before, this is the ultimate display of the human ego.
Yes.
The idea that I don't die.
Right.
Really. How do I convince myself that this isn't it?
Yeah.
So a story was written. A fantasy was laid forth. A path to your eventual immortality. You, this biological living thing, who is aware of their own death and their own birth. They know there's bookends.
That really makes everything in between really scary.
Yeah, they can. I mean, and who knows what other living things have that awareness?
That's upsetting.
But the point is, we, with this awareness, come up with this story about how this awareness doesn't end, even though It very much appears to when we see other things like us die. But we exist on this earth, which was apparently made for us. And we are completely outnumbered by the other living things that we share the earth with. There are living things crawling on you right now.
Thank you.
Many things that are living, that are separate from you, that are on you right now or in you. And then we are surrounded outside of us by little bugs crawling on the walls, by
Dropping from the ceilings
worms
in Japan.
digging through the dirt, by snakes, by dogs and cats that for some reason we decided can live in our homes with us, rabbits and gerbils and crocodiles and alligators and lions and tigers and bears. Oh my! Mountain lions, cougars, horses, fish of all kinds, variety of sea life. We only have
You're describing the first 10 minutes of the temple video.
yeah, pretty much. But of all of those multitudes of living things, just this one has a plan of salvation? Just this one type of living thing? And also your favorite pet that you lost.
Oh.
That, and again, that's another thing. It's a small thing, but it's a completely human thing that we believe that they have souls too, and they're in heaven as well, and it'll all be good.
They were part of the family.
All we want to do is replicate the life that we know into the future. That I'll have my dogs and cats, and I'll have my family. Who cares about the family tree that I come from and branch off into?
Nope, just your nuclear family.
Just your mom and dad and your grandparents and your cousins.
But we're all linked together.
Even though those have cousins that aren't your cousins and cousins and aunts and uncles, and it all goes back way back. Where do you draw the lines between your families?
Yeah.
It's, I mean,
Thank
about
God. It. God can figure all of this out.
He's got a lot of sorting out to do, doesn't he?
Got a lot of sorting out to do, didn't he? That's what Grandma says.
Well, she's right. He would have a lot of sorting out to do.
That'd be a lot of knotted yarn. Oh,
and really,
I hate knotted yarn.
Oh boy, I hate it. Don't get me started. Here's what I find really unfortunate.
That we can't come up with anything better or different?
Or that we can't just accept what is very plain, the most plainly understandable thing. It's always the obvious answer.
Yeah.
What do the circumstances indicate? We see something, and it's just like us. It's walking and talking and has the same parts that I do and has the same language that I do. And then I see that thing stop living.
Yeah.
And to me,
dramatic.
It ceases to exist. I no longer relate.
Yeah.
There's no interaction. But that thing is just like me. And that's going to happen to me. At some point, I don't live anymore. And I can't even, and even if you try to see nothingness, we try to imagine nothingness as an existence, as an experience. And it wouldn't be that. It'd be what we were before we had experience. I mean, honestly, how insane is it to think that every other living thing dies and dies for good, for real, but we don't?
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense how you can believe.
Why would there be, if this earth was made for us, then why would there be all these other living things? Things that we can actually relate to, that we can have relationships with.
Which is why we want our dogs and cats in heaven with us.
We think that those dogs and cats are thinking about the world, at least somewhat like we do.
And we talk to them in our language. Yeah.
They love us, and we love them. And they know, and they just know.
They know. And he looked at me and he knew.
No, and they just know. But we see the same type of existence. We see the same relation in things like cows and pigs and chickens.
Because he's so cute.
With eyes that seem to see us.
Yeah.
But we don't care about them as much for some reason.
Yeah.
But those are still living, existing, experiencing things, just like us. But we think that their life is completely at our mercy. Either we'll keep you around and enjoy you or will kill you and eat you. They would have had to all come from the same creator.
And somehow, this completely narcissistic doctrine came from such a humble 14-year-old boy that didn't have the ego the size of someone who could say, I've done more, save Jesus himself. Well, I think that was said about him. But Joseph Smith, the man who thought he could do no wrong, came up with this doctrine that would glorify him for eternity.
Yeah, well, he expanded on it.
Yeah.
Since human beings have been talking about this figure of Jesus Christ, we've been talking about living again through Jesus Christ. But before that, there's many, many other myths and belief systems that give the same idea. As much as we can know anything, the only thing we can say that we know, because it repeats without fail, is that
we'll die.
We cease to exist as we understand existence.
It's so hard to even think about your body as anything else besides your skin stretched over or something. Like right now I'm sitting in a way that I can feel my sit bones.
Yeah, it sucks. It sucks when you're aware.
And then I'm like, oh my God, I have a skeleton. And on top of that skeleton is nerves. And then on top of the nerves is muscles. And then on top of those muscles is blood. And then,
really
a layer of fat. And then skin. And then hair. And then someday I'm going to lose all of that except my teeth and my bones. And that's all that's going to be left is the things that I feel I'm sitting on that are connecting with the molecules in this chair. And I can't handle that idea because that's really scary.
It's pretty far out.
Yeah.
It's pretty far out.
And then I have to shift because I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah. Because our bodies are terrible.
Yeah.
Why did we want this?
Why did I sign up for this?
When you can just remove your supposed certainty about what it is and just think, what could it really be? What is it?
What else could it be besides nothing?
What else could it be besides what it appears to be?
Yeah, what it looks
like. Rather than what we wish it was or what we hope it is.
Yeah.
What we have faith in. What are we actually experiencing? All the people that you know, all the people that you love, all the people that you are influenced by, who you come from, who are your family, who are your friends, who are your strangers. The only thing we truly have in common is that we showed up here and that we're going to die. That our body is going to die, which means our brain is going to die, which means all these thoughts and feelings and memories and awareness. It's going to disconnect from that blood and those nerves and those organs, and thus the experience. Could whatever makes me think of these things and speak them and experience them, and the thing that helps you receive them and think of them and experience them and relate to them, could that be something that exists outside of this physical structure? Maybe not belonging to me, but belonging to whatever links what I'm thinking and saying to you,
right,
Lisa, and to you who is listening. There's something in between there. So does this part of it go back to whatever is in between this part of it and your part of it?
Right. That's very Eastern philosophy.
If anything, doesn't that seem to make sense to...
That something lives on.
Yeah.
That there's something more than just all of these individuals.
Or just whatever it is always living, and you and I are just part
of the collective consciousness.
Of an ability to experience it like this.
That would be really great.
I mean, if anything.
Yeah.
Then maybe this representation of it, this expression of it, this experience of it.
Who wants this to go on forever as much as we love it? Really think about it.
Right? What would that mean?
No, thank you. I mean, one day at a time is plenty.
Sure. Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night. I literally just
recently
spring back into lucidity, and my mind screams to my inner experience, you're gonna die. You'll actually be the thing that you think about, the thing that you try to think about, the thing that you ponder. Whatever it is, you can't fathom really, but it is going to happen. I came up with this thought. It doesn't quite make sense, but then again, it makes perfect sense. Forget about death. You won't remember it anyway. You won't know that you're dead.
Nope.
That's the only thing that is comforting to me.
Yeah.
I'm still thinking about it. Whenever it happens, I won't have the ability, as far as I can tell, to think about it, because I can only think about it because I have this thing in my skull.
Yeah.
And if I don't have that,
You're not
I don't
thinking.
have anything.
Yeah, exactly.
I won't ever know it happened.
Exactly. I think that's also what's so jarring, like you were saying, about death. It's the only thing we know for certain will happen.
And I'm getting to the edge of right now of where I'm comfortable accepting that and being terrified.
Yeah. Because we don't know anything.
You can't.
That's the only thing we can be certain of. And that we don't know anything.
We can't know what it means to be dead.
No.
So.
Oh my God. We'll never know. Oh God, no. That's my worst nightmare. Oh shit. We'll never know. Oh God. Oh, that's
we'll
actually the thing that scares me the most, is because when I was Mormon, I had this belief that when I died, I would figure it all out.
Yeah.
The perfectionist in me would finally be relieved of like wondering what to do and how to do it right and what all the answers were. And I believed that I would get all of the answers to the test. Like, we're taking this test and then we get the answers at the end and we see the correct answers and we can correct the answers.
You got that one right.
And we're never.
What's our percentage?
Gonna get
what grade do we get?
Percentage. We're never gonna get a grade. And that, the student in me, the life student, that makes me. Well, I'm gonna implode because like. Now we just die and it just ends and there was no answer. Yeah. And I will never know that I was even dead, let alone what the quote unquote right answers were.
Yeah.
Not even long enough in between alive and dead to be like, by the way, this isn't happening because nothing exists, but that was all that there was. This is the summary. This is the recap. The credits are rolling. It's not going to last very long because then it's really going to go dark, but the credits are rolling. And this is everything that happened. This is what you need to know. And religion wasn't real and you were right and it was okay. And it's okay. We just wanted to give you this closure before actually let's go at 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, close.
Okay. So to sum it up, all of these extra human ideas, all of these philosophies, all of these projections, all of these ponderings, it's all conjecture of a very thin variety.
Yeah.
And the thought that there could be an answer, that is a product.
Yes.
That we would pay anything for if we could. And there are plenty of sellers. And one seller, the first one that we knew, was the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. They have a very particular product to sell. And it's very expensive, but it's also
10% of your income before taxes.
And your time. It's so taxing on your entire life. Just as all religions do, but this one in particular, of course, because it's my experience, it seems to be so much of a thief of an individual's experience of their life, the one and only one that they're going to have. It completely diminishes the scope of the experience of life because they narrow it down so much because most of us want the answer. We don't want to think about it. We don't want to have to wonder. I want to be told what's happening, what's going to happen, because I know I'm going to die, but then what? There's got to be something. If there's something now, there's got to be something later.
It can't be not something.
The thing is, as something that is something, noticing other somethings being nothing, then it is possible to be nothing. You were once nothing. That's crazy.
Yeah.
You and I used to not exist.
Oh, God.
What is so crazy about accepting that
we might not again?
You won't again. And it'll be exactly the same. Nothing.
And there are moments when that is the most beautiful thing I've ever heard.
Right?
And you're walking around and you're like,
even if it is scary.
God. Like that person is, they're so much more than just that guy, that girl.
It's great that we know that.
It's so great that you can be aware that you can walk down the street and be like, that flower, that bird. Everything is consciousness.
Some living things could have more understanding than we do. How would we know? We can't communicate with them. If we think that we, as a human race, have answers that other living things don't,
How would we know?
Yeah, how would you know that they don't think the exact same thing?
Because all I can think is that everything else communicates in language, because that's the only thing I'm capable of theoreticizing.
And within our own species, we are separated by language.
Exactly. I was walking by some birds and wondering how they were communicating with each other when they make sounds.
And
Does that mean something? Does that translate into a language of sorts, or is that just sounds? And are they just making sounds?
But it's the same thing. We're just making sounds.
And a sound is a sound. And
the sounds that we're making happen to make sense to us.
We're just making sounds
We're
at each other.
just making noises.
We're just making noises with our teeth and our mouth and our tongues. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh, we look insane. And somehow we understand the words that each other are saying. That can form ideas and concepts.
And
that's how we've gotten this far, is because of our ability to do that.
Yeah. And that has evolved over time. It's called evolution, which religion denies.
Oh God.
I think we've gone far enough for tonight.
I would say so.
But where we've just been for the last 20, 30 minutes,
it was fun.
That's the whole reason that we started.
Mm-hmm. So if you don't like that, you better turn it off. You better unlisten.
Better not come back.
Listen to like the last 10.
That's what's up. That's what's up. All right.
Thanks so much for
thanks
being
for being
here with
that.
us, wherever that was.
Being here, being there, being in it, being in between it, being all of it. Because everything is everything.
And everything is everything.
Everything is everything.
You're great. Let us know if there's anything we can do to help you out there.
You're good enough. You're strong enough. And gosh darn it, people like you. I'm Dan.
I'm Lisa.
And we are siblings in Zion. If we don't die between now and the next one, we'll talk to you then.
Great.
Okay, bye. Man, I'm really going to have to do some work on this one.
What is happening to me? Okay.
Reefer madness, dude.